Thank you, Dave and Chris, and everyone at IFA. I also want to take a moment to make sure everyone is aware that Congressman Bost is here, the chairman of the House Veterans Affairs Committee, and his wife, Catherine, and appreciate the work you guys do on behalf of our veteran community. I very much appreciate this. It's very difficult to accept this because it's, and I accept it on behalf of some incredible people that were part of making this happen. But the truth is, and I've said this several times throughout the last 2 years of this incident being acknowledged, publicly acknowledged, is that I say with complete honesty, and not humility, just honesty, I am not capable of pulling off what happened in Afghanistan. I'm not smart enough, I'm not networked enough. My 14 years of special operations experience is something I'm proud of, but it's not qualified me to do what happened. The reason I say that is the only way I know how to explain what happened, it was a God-ordained miracle. There's no other way to explain what happened. When I decided to engage in this, it was a little bit selfish reasons. I had an interpreter in my time in my deployments. I did 8 deployments to Afghanistan. I was a Force Recon Marine assigned to a JSOC task force with the premier special operations unit, I believe, in the world. And my job there was called the AFO, Advanced Force Operator. The best way I know how to describe that job is somewhat working undercover. You work in a singleton capacity by yourself to go ahead of the assault units to put all your soldiers on target to capture or kill bad guys. And so that was my job. And so I worked by myself with a sole interpreter. His name was Aziz. And Aziz was not only my interpreter, but he was my teammate, and he was my primary person that I did all 8 of my deployments with. And he was also my friend. Aziz saved my life multiple times. When we're not operating, I say he saved my life multiple times. He probably saved my life every day. Like, don't walk there, don't eat that, don't talk to that person. If you talk right now, someone's going to hear you and they're going to kill us. Like, he kept me alive every single day. And when we're not in the mountains of Afghanistan operating on the over 100 missions we did together, or we were not across the border in Pakistan, I didn't go back to base and he went home. I actually went to his home. His wife, Hatra, made my first warm meal out of coming back through those mountains. I held his son, Mashoud, when he was born. I held Mashoud, his daughter, when they were born. They were family to me. And so when this announcement was made that we were doing the full, complete withdrawal of Afghanistan, I could spend hours up here telling you why that was a terrible idea. But I couldn't control that. But one thing I could control was not leaving my friend there to be killed. My wife and children had a husband and father because of Aziz. And so I made a decision to go back and get him. And that's when we seen that miracle take place. And we knew that it would have to be a miracle. We got permission from the Joint Chiefs to go in H-Kaya Airport as civilians to go outside and rescue civilians. You have to realize the military didn't even allow, the State Department, who the White House gave the NEO operation to wrongfully, did not allow the U.S. military to do that for our own Americans. So for them to allow civilians to go do that is an impossibility, but God made it possible. We got permission from the Joint Chiefs. We also needed to be able to move people without visas from one country to another. That's human trafficking. You can't do that for visa applicants. The only place you could do that is in Laredo, Texas. But again, I don't want to take everybody's time tonight. So in the rural world, you need rules. So we contacted the United Arab Emirates and the royal family there, granted us permission to bring people there, and they would provide everything we needed and force the State Department to process our SIVs there. So I'm not very popular with Secretary Blinken and the State Department because of that. And then on top of that, they said we give you a C-17 plane, and if you fill it up, we'll give you another one. Now I'm watching this miracle unfold and operations unfolding that went from me wanting to save Aziz, his wife and 6 kids, to now these 3,000 orphan girls we're going to go get, to now every American interpreter, ally, like anybody that needed help, we were going to help. And a couple of things that makes that really complicated is it's very expensive to do something like that. Not thousands of dollars, but tens of millions of dollars. And so by day 3 of doing this, I'm like, how are we going to do this? And I get a random call from a man named Glenn Beck, which some of you guys may know. And Glenn Beck called and he said, Chad, I went on the radio to raise a few $1,000s. I just want to do something, and I've already had $21 million come in. What do I do with it? And I was like, I know exactly what to do with it. We're going to start chartering planes. And the first 10 days at that airport was chaotic. I've seen the most incredible heroism I've seen in my life, even in combat, at that airport. I mean, if anybody stopped for 5 minutes, you're trading 5 minutes sleep for someone's life. And so everyone just pushed. My buddy Seaspray lost 37 pounds in 10 days. The level of chaos at that airport, everybody's seen people falling off the planes, but the biggest, I think the most magnifying thing to me to realize how chaotic it was when moms were giving their little babies away, kissing them goodbye because they didn't want them to become a Taliban or be a sex slave the rest of their life. They kissed them goodbye, put them on top, knowing they're never going to see them again, put them on top of a crowd of 100,000 people to be crowd surfed to the gate. And when they got to the gate, some woman grabbed that baby and threw it as hard and as high as they could over the wall so a U.S. service member would catch it. What they didn't know was on the other side of that wall was about 6 feet high and about 20 feet deep of concertina wire, razor wire. My buddy Joe counted 6 babies in that wire that had bled out. This is like the level of chaos that was happening at the airport. And our team just kept pushing. And on day 10, we were there. The Abbey Gate was hit by a suicide bomber. 13 of our service members were killed. That did not have to happen, by the way. And the U.S. military was forced to leave. Our military did not want to leave. The White House was saying there was 100 Americans. I was saying there were thousands. Turns out there was thousands, but the truth is it didn't matter if there was 100 or 1,000. We don't leave one American behind ever, anywhere. And so we chose to stay, and we went to a place called Mazar Sharif, and we got another. We had already got 12,000 out. We got another 5,000 out. We got 17,000 out total. And then I came home, and we knew we wasn't done. I came home, and I was trying to figure out what do we do next. And I had heard that the commandos that we had worked with for 20 years had moved all the women and children to a place called the Panjshir Valley, and they were trying to cross them across the Panjshir River into the country of Tajikistan. Now, I knew this area well. 25,000-foot mountains, the border sometimes is a 1,000-foot cliff. The Panjshir River is Category 5 rapids, ice melt water. Afghan women can't swim. Most of them are pregnant or have a baby with them. Impossible geographically to cross. And then on top of that, the news didn't report this, but the Chinese military was there, the Russian military was there, the Taliban was saturated that border, and the Tajikistan border guard was there. And so some of those texts you've seen was me reaching out to Tommy Waller, who's commander of 3rd Force Recon Company, to specifically bring this Marine named Staff Sergeant Dennis Price with me to go into Tajikistan to build routes out for these women and little girls. And we reached out to you guys. And we said, me and Dennis Price, we're going to go into Tajikistan, and we didn't give the specifics, and we're going to help these women and little girls. And I can tell you that sounds like we're driving to the airport. I'll give you a little bit of perspective where mine was. We're driving to the airport, and my wife knew like something was wrong, and she got scared. And she's like, you already got a Z's out. You already got 7. How far are you going to push it? And the only way I really knew how to describe to her, and this is really the only way I know to describe it to anyone, is how I felt at that time. God kept opening doors, and the doors didn't feel closed yet. If the doors would have felt closed, I would have stopped. But the doors still felt open. And I was telling my wife, like, what if this was us? We in America, we're blessed. What if it was us, though? What if it was our sons that would be forced into madrasas, our daughter that would be raped the rest of her life? Wouldn't we be praying that someone would come help us? Someone somewhere would come help us. I know I would be. If I knew my daughter Haley and my daughter Summer would have to go through that, I would be praying. And I'm like, somewhere someone's praying for us to come, and we have to go. And so Dennis Price and I got on that plane. And I tell you what, flying there, it sounds, I've been said it's heroic. And there was nothing heroic about it. I was terrified to do that. Dennis was, I was like, Dennis, like, I was just like, man, I'm like really, we're about to swim in Afghanistan, like, and I'm like, I want to make sure you're okay. He's like, I'm feeling it too. So we prayed together on our layover, and we flew into there, and we drove about 10 hours through the mountains. We got to that border, and for 10 days we did 90 miles of border reconnaissance. We built 6 routes. Every night we swam across the Panjshir River in Afghanistan. We built 6 routes, and there was one night that I want to tell you about specifically because it really sticks out to me with the IFA and who you guys are. We knew, we talked about it on the side of that river. We knew you guys were praying for us. We didn't know who. You guys didn't know who we were. We didn't know who you were, but we knew that there was thousands of people praying for us. And we were about to swim across this river, and about 100 yards away from us across the river was a Taliban site with 3 Taliban fighters on the roof. And about 300 yards to our right was a Chinese BMP, a mechanized vehicle, with a PKM, a giant machine gun on it, with a giant spotlight for people swimming across the river. And we were about to swim across that river, and you know, the anxiety hit me, and I was thinking about the reality of what was about to happen. And I remembered you guys praying for us. I didn't have my Bible with me. I didn't have my phone with my Bible app on it. I had a burner phone. But I remembered a psalm that I say all the time, Psalm 23. And I memorize it. For the Lord is my shepherd, I lack nothing. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside quiet waters. He refreshes my soul. And he guides me to the right path for his name's sake. And even though I walk through the darkest valley, I will fear no evil because he is with me. His rod and his staff, they comfort me. He prepares a table for me in the presence of my enemies, and he anoints my head with oil. And my cup overflows, and surely his goodness and love will pursue me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. I said that on the side of that river, and I thought about you guys praying for me. And that night we swam across that river, and that ended up being the route that we got, that most of those women and little girls came across. And while I'm thankful to represent our team to receive something like this, this is representative of all of you guys, because something like this is not done with one person or a team of people. It's done by an army of people and an army of prayer warriors. And those prayers, by the way, can't end now, because while we got to do an amazing thing and we're super proud that we got those people out, my heart still hurts every day because I still get emails every day. Did you forget us? We're still here. My brother was just killed. My sister was just taken. There's 20 million women and little girls still there being sexually enslaved every day, as young as 9-year-old girls. You know, when Dennis and I were saying we were scared to go across that river, yeah, we were, but on the other side of the river was something far more important than being scared. It was these little 9-year-old girls that were getting raped and pulled away from their families, and that's still happening right now. And we, even if they don't share our faith, we need to be praying for them. And we need to love them and show them the love of God. And it was an amazing moment to see everyone come together, including you guys. And I want to close with one statement that the guy Seasbury, the guy that lost that weight, amazing guy, Army Green Beret, who ended up being a part of our CIA ground branch, the paramilitary unit for our government agency. He's an incredible human being, and we were being asked why we did what we did. And honestly, the reporter, the Fox News reporter that was interviewing me, was really aggravating me at the time. And I was like tired. I hadn't slept. I slept like an hour a day for a couple of days. And she was asking, and I just said, it's the right thing to do. Like, it's real simple, flippantly. It is. It's the right thing to do. If you have the ability to do the right thing and you have the ability to help people, then I believe you should, if people are in need. But then she asked Seasbury this question. She said, was it worth it? And he said without even thinking, he said, it doesn't have to be. And that was probably one of the most powerful statements I ever heard in my life, because he traded his career to help these people he never met before. And he said it doesn't have to be worth it. And I thought about that and thought, so often in America, we put an ROI in everything. I'll give my time, I'll give my money, I'll give my energy, my resources, but what's the return on investment? Is it worth it? Right? How dangerous is it? What's the risk assessment? We analyze everything. Sometimes it doesn't have to be worth it to do the right thing. Sometimes we just do the right thing because it's the right thing to do. And that's what this was about. Thank you guys so much. God bless you. Thank you.